Hello, world. This is Planet Jade. This is Jesse and Jeremy, and we have a special guest on the podcast today. This is a privilege of ours to talk to Doug Levison. You guys have probably seen the
Levison.
video.
It's Lev
Levinson?
Levison.
Levison. Levison.
Levinson. I figured.
Levison.
Levison.
Right.
No one in the middle. The famous comedian on Ed Sullivan was Sam Levinson. And we did it all the time.
Levinson.
Oh, he was
Levinson.
He was this owl-faced guy, like the version of Steve Allen. Steve Allen, you guys, I met with Audrey Meadows' sister Jane Meadows. I met them at Fifth Avenue one day. The nicest people you'd ever meet in your life. But he was Levinson.
Oh, yeah.
Levinson.
Yeah.
Son of Levi.
Son of Levi.
So Doug Levison has been well known for a viral video that went really big about 6 years ago, in which there was a man playing a trumpet in New York on the street, and Doug came up and started basically yelling at this guy with a lot of very interesting creative words, like instead of saying "shut the fuck up," he would say, "An artist respects the silence. It serves as the foundation of creativity."
You're no artist. An artist respects the silence. It serves as the foundation of creativity. You obviously don't have the talent.
And there were these kind of quotes and things that kind of came out of that, and it went viral, and people found it very interesting.
Maybe everybody else wants to enjoy the peace and quiet. This is one of the most important places in all of North America. Who are you?
And we felt when we saw this video that there was something really interesting about it.
Magical and informing about it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that it was potentially taken out of context. So me and Jesse started to really look more deeply into the symbolism, or what, some of the deeper layers, to try and understand what really went on. And then we managed to actually track Doug down, and we want to interview him and hear his side of the story, because we don't believe his side of the story has really been put out there accurately. There's been a few interviews, but they have not really allowed him to share his side of the story. So that's what we're wanting to do here with this.
And deeply appreciated, gentlemen. Deeply appreciated.
What a lot of people do not understand, I don't think, is that where this happened, it was outside the Holocaust Museum. Is that correct?
Right. But hang on. Before we go there, there's been a very broad misapprehension, okay? And I'd like to set the record straight about that right off the top. Okay. Uncle Bob Morgenthau, who was a dear, dear friend of my father, was instrumental in placing that museum where it is. However, it was not the museum per se. Please understand.
Right.
This neighborhood, we had moved in. It's amazing. It's going to be 20 years next week on the 3rd of June. On Monday, that week that we moved down here, okay? And a little over 2 years from now moving in, we had this insane event come down. I heard the first plane. He saw the second plane fly over the park. 10 after 10 that morning, he sees the first one go down. By the time I get over to him where he was parked, and it's 10:30, we step out of the car. We were faithful enough to observe the parking from 9 to 10:30. We see the second one go there.
You're referring to the Twin Towers right now?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
This is why I'm telling you the story. It is very pertinent to that afternoon that we're discussing here. We stayed, and Tuesday we stayed. By Tuesday night, I am sitting here with him with the Siamese kitten, reading Percy Bysshe Shelley Ozymandias, the two pillars in the desert stand with their cold sneer and cold command. And now all that's left is dust. So that is where this came in. It is the neighborhood, and all of us who live through this, okay, this is a unique experience. So that the fact that it happened to be in front of that museum, wow, interesting, it's just where he happened to be. This is a very quiet area down there. Monarch butterflies are flying through. I have seen blue jays, okay? We are given a delightful display of horticulture throughout the year, 8-9 months a year. So the point is this. It happened to be in front of that particular spot. But what matters most is that this is a magnificent October afternoon. I was reading the paper. I was enjoying everything at the harbor, having a lovely afternoon. And at 6 o'clock, it was a picture-perfect afternoon in this place. And the silence, as I say to him, is the silence as it is, with the resonance and profundity of the silence. And he is just I mean, it is, you can't use the word that would describe just, are you hearing?
Yeah.
Just words. I mean, oh,
Like the
hey. And I just, to me, having had such an incredible afternoon,
Yeah.
and in the neighborhood, the happens to be in front of that particular spot of which I have family virtually connected.
yeah, and then there's the sound of a trumpet.
Get out!
You can't stand the
And I
sound of
told
that
Jesse,
trumpet
hey,
because of
Jesse,
the.
man, I was having lox and bagels with Miles Davis's son John Pierre, so please. And it was
Miles
somehow
Davis, king of cool.
like he was really just starting to get to be quite well known then, and the house was near Riverside Drive. And gorgeous John Pierce says, "Come over and have lox and bagels at the house." And I met Miles. Okay, standards.
Wow.
Okay, standards. Right, and this guy is like, it speaks for itself. I don't got to waste a breath except to tell you that for me, the combination of how utterly absurd this was coming at him, combined with the fact that he was where he was, not in that particular spot per se, but in the neighborhood, on a very special day in terms of a national observance.
Right.
Okay, we called it Indigenous People, and beautiful
Indigenous
day, and I let
Peoples
him
Day.
have it.
And the song he was playing was
Yeah,
"Oh Susanna," right? Which is
no good.
a lot of people don't realize that that's a very racist song, and it uses the N-word. It
Right.
talks about killing. It's a
Yeah,
horrible
yeah.
racist song.
It's not a good cover.
No,
Don't even go
and
there.
that's why
Wouldn't.
it was a bigger deal to you because of that. And I know you were also connecting it to September 11. And what I also found interesting to find out is that "Oh Susanna" song, the very first time that was ever performed was on September 11 in the
Are you
1800s.
serious? This I can't wait
Yeah.
to O'Neill that one.
Yeah. And what was
why, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
that's what I
phenomenal.
Not
realized.
at all.
There's a video from it's got Stephen Fry in it. It's a video from I think the show is called A Bit of Fry and Laurie. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's like an episode on there that was released back in 1989. And in the episode there's a busker playing a harmonica, and he plays that song "Oh Susanna." And then Stephen Fry comes up to him and he starts
Yep.
yelling at him, "What are you doing? Why are you playing this song?" And it's almost very similar to what happened.
Is this life imitating art, imitating life?
Right.
You're introducing to an amazing event. Right? That's
Yeah.
real. And then the guys on the harp doing it. That's not much of a leap, you guys.
You also play music yourself, right? Because I hear you say you're a left-handed guitarist. Do you play
Left-handed, yes.
do you play other
They
instruments
have
as well?
they have to be custom made.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Hofner, not Paul's bass, but a close facsimile of his bass, a Hofner. I've got two Martins, a 12-string, and a Dreadnought. I
Wow.
have a Fender Stratocaster, have an Ovation, acoustic electric, and a
Amazing.
Rickenbacker, and Epiphone.
You record your music?
You recording your music?
Working on that. Neil has just, in the past year, okay, we have gotten everything. He has put together a studio now that we can lay out anything we want. Yes, I can do keyboards. And what we're doing, and we started doing it before his birthday a year ago, we got him the iMac. That was the hub. And then we started with the sound stuff. So he's been on Universal Audio, which is beloved all over the world. And this is 92,000 sounds in just the one little package, and hundreds upon hundreds of other packages with every instrument you could dream of in every variant of music and sound that you could dream of.
Amazing.
And what we are now, what he has done, because as I was telling Jesse on Saturday past, devoted to the jazz and classical too. The Beatles is like, of course, for us, the major thing in contemporary things. But this goes far beyond any one modality into virtually anything you could dream of. I mean, this goes back, so far as we're concerned, anything that makes sense. And he's got like several thousand compositions, of which we're already starting to take the very best and layer them out as such that we will then be able to put together some really quality stuff. And obviously you guys will be among the first to know as we get there.
Yes, sir. I would love to hear that.
Flower Power, having done production work before, having now gathered this amazing ability, technical and sonic ability, this is where we're going next. Poets, visual artists, music, you name it, put it together in different forms in different places all over the world. You know, Neil and I went to a forum once called De Bono, which was a Swiss, very amazing person whose idea was this: take any situation you could conceive of, any, A-N-Y, and break it down into positives, negatives, if any, and interesting points. And the first thing that you find that happens is that you drop the emotionality. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When you drop the emotionality, you are able to view whatever the circumstances that are presenting themselves at the moment from sheer objectivity. Sheer objectivity, because all you're doing is looking at it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of time. You're
That's
out of
so true.
emotion.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Even in
Mindfulness.
crazy Scientology, the references to what they call the eliminating of the reactive mind. The reactive mind is referred to as that storehouse of memories and emotions that inhibits the full embrace of the here and now. And that's it. Very simple. Everybody thinks
Yeah.
in our scientific research, 6 months of the transcendental meditation technique in terms of rest, physical and mental rest, psychophysiological parameters, is the equivalent of 25 years of Zen meditation. And that is
Wow.
repeatedly verifiable experimentation and no joke.
Wow.
And as I told Jeff, we had our hoppers. I've been in I can go about 2 feet up and 2 feet forward, and there are guys who can hover. Okay, and they go up
Yeah,
a
I
little
heard
bit
you
higher.
say that. Now I'm so
That's what we
fascinated.
wanted to talk about.
We want to
We're
hear about
fascinated
this.
about this hovering
Yeah.
situation.
Okay, this is what you learn. This is called this TM SIDDHIS, SIDDHIS. And this is a different branch of the Transcendental Meditation program in which you learn a series of techniques. There's sutras, like a sutra that you learn that are cover a wide range psychological and emotional and physiological elements that you meditate with those and work with those, culminating in this, what they call the flying technique. And flying is a little bit like Rich, but it's hopping for sure. And that I will verify because I've been in domes with 7,000 guys from all over the world on international courses, and it's very, very real. The coherence, we call it the popcorn effect, where you take the kernels of popcorn and put them in the pan, and everything starts popping up. And we've seen this happen in our ways. You got a men's dome and a ladies' dome, and it's amazing, right? We took 3 of the best guys we had. We did a tour of 1,000 cities and 100 nations all over the world. And part of that was that we had them come to the UN. We had delegates from 50 nations come to the United Nations and see them.
To witness this.
And it was really amazing. Yeah.
So
we had to set up the foam. You got to do it on foam. You're not going to do it on a hardwood floor, you guys. You do it on foam because that's soft and you can land and bounce and go up again, right? But the amazing effect of this, the group consciousness of everybody starts to go up. Really something.
So can you only do it as a group consciousness? You can't do it as an individual?
Do it on your own, of course.
Oh, you can.
So the knowledge, sure.
Can you stay in the air, or are you kind of coming down quite quickly? Like more like a when you said
one guy. Had this one guy from down in the islands, the Caribbean, Ralph. I'm telling you, man, that guy could hover. I am not kidding you guys.
Wow.
A couple of seconds and he would be hovering up there, and then he'd come back down. You could go like 1,000, 2 1,000, and then he'd come back down.
And is that the same for you? Can you do that, or are you more? It's more like a jump.
I'm not quite as nimble as 2 seconds, but I'm up there. When I leap, I leap. Hey, you know, I mean, it's a leap up. It could be a leap forward. This is the dynamic.
It's more like a mental thing, and then you raise up, or do you actually have to jump?
No, you don't have to. You just do it. The mind-body coordination is so, it's automatic. Well, here's the amazing story. You guys are going to love this, man. There's just like, how many guys? 40, 50, 60 guys on the course. And they teach us a technique. And this was like the day of the 4th of July. We're halfway through the course and there. Nobody but one guy goes up. Everybody else walks out of the flying hall. And everybody's in a state of shock. And the city's administrator tells, okay, go up to your rooms and try it. So I'm rooming with this nice guy who I had to babysit throughout the 2 weeks. He's going to pack his bag and go back up to Medford, Mass. And I'm telling him, don't do that. I'm a candidate for teacher training. Stay cool. Okay. We go back up to the room. I am sitting in my chair in the room. They're telling us, try the suture. I started, I'm telling you, it was an itch that I could not begin to scratch. And next thing I know, I literally am going halfway up the wall.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's out of nowhere.
What?
Spontaneously. So, okay. So everybody come back down to the flying hall for the evening one, whatever it was. And I take off like a rocket. I am the only person.
Wow.
I'm the only person in the second section. The only person.
I wish I could have seen this.
I know.
To go up. To go up. So Douglas, go to the mic. What was it like? It was just your entire body that just turned into this like one big, amazing, tingling sensation that became flight. This
Wow.
is the best way that words can describe this. You just turn into a flying machine. And I'm going up the wall, and I'm going up the wall in the room, and then I'm going up the wall. I was flirting around with this one girl, Betty, before they made us go our separate ways. My roommate goes, hey, what's going on? Are you going crazy over Betty or something? I said, well, are you kidding me? Girls are not the issue here. This is not somebody.
Oh, God.
Was, man. Doug and Betty were the sensation, but no, this was the amazing. All of a sudden, your nervous system. Then we had this guy, Big Henry. Oh, what a tale! Henry came from Oklahoma. He took his CIC in Oklahoma. Big, beautiful. Imagine Fats Domino, but somewhat younger. Just gorgeous guy.
Wow.
Very much out of that psychophysiological type. Friggin' Henry, right? So we're sitting there and we're like a few days, and here's the deal. You learn this about halfway through the course. And everybody's on the countdown, and 90%. I asked Betty, hey, what's happening? There, whole lot of shaking going on. Everybody's going on. I said, cool, the girls are cool. Guys are having fits. They don't know what's going on. Why aren't they going up? Douglas went up, and Sandy from NYU went up. Why am I not going up, right? Friggin' Henry, man. Henry is sitting there. Imagine Fats Domino roaring like a lion.
I can imagine Fats Domino. I'm
right?
imagining that.
propelling himself nearly 2 feet in the air. And this
Wow.
is Henry going up. I mean, the stories, and then everybody would get their chance to go up to the mic in front of the rest of us at the end of the session. After we all cool down, you know, you do your time, flying time, and then everybody rests. And then for anybody who went up,
This is phenomenal. I mean, we've never heard anybody talk
I've
about
never heard anyone doing this.
Henry
and it
roared,
doesn't seem popular.
roared like a lion. It was the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Now, to cap the story, my guy, my roommate, who I am like babysitting and getting to keep him packing his bag, the next to last night of the course, you guys, after having convinced him more than once to stay through, he goes up.
what?
Right? He was one of the last people of the 2/3 or so of the guys. He goes up. I cannot tell you what that meant to him and to me.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to Douglas. I'm so glad I stayed and that you watched over me to get me to stay.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Right?
That's very magical.
So there's a lot of satisfaction in that.
Mhm.
And once you learn, you learn. I mean, it represents a level of mind-body coherence that is like most amazing. It's really good stuff.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. I just wanted to again reiterate the connections seem to be so random, but they follow some significant, even if it's a small iota of a connection, it finds its explanation when you really look at it in hindsight, which tends to happen when you look back.
It all connects because people live their lives, okay? They generate the three: waking, sleeping, and dreaming. That's karma. That's the wheel. Okay, put very simply, when you meditate, doing the technique that we do, which is not this mindfulness and this like Zen with the back of the stick, the back of your head, all this craziness, you simply allow the mind. You're taught a technique. The definition of a mantra is the sound, the effects of which are known, a meaningless sound, the effects of which are known as a mantra. The mantra is based on age and gender. There are not a million of them. There are some, a reasonable number. I'm not going to get into secrets, but to say logically, and anybody can look it up, there are some. Teachers have spilled this over the years. I'm not going to get hit by lightning or by Guru Deb and Maru's Guru. Well, you know. So you learn, and when you learn, you do this 20 minutes twice a day, morning and evening. And the effects of this, the analogy that we drew, take a white handkerchief, take a pot of gold dye, dip that handkerchief in the pot, hang it up on the line to dry in the air and wind and sun. It fades. Now, that's normal activity after you've meditated, the normal whoop and woof of daily life. Go back in there, meditate twice a day, dip it again. And when you hang it up again, it fades a little bit less. It takes on more of the quality of the gold.
Huh. Wow.
By the time you continue the experience. Now, the one prerequisite, you must basically be normal, healthy. If you got serious physical and mental troubles, good luck. We're not going there.
Right. Okay.
If you continue this process, eventually there's one day where you dip that in there, and when you hang it up, the handkerchief no longer fades. It takes on permanently, takes on the quality of that dye. This is the transcendental. Okay, this is the source, course, and goal, what we call the fourth state. And when you integrate that into the other three of waking, sleeping, and dreaming, you're in the fifth. That's cosmic. Okay? When you stabilize cosmic consciousness throughout the rest of what you're doing, this is glorified consciousness, which becomes over time unity consciousness. Brahman.
So you live in a different, almost a different reality to the average person by having this. In a way, you can notice all of these connections and see it all in the present in a way that connects and makes sense.
One of the things that was so amazing, I think, they did a survey of all of us who went through what we went through down here with 9/11. And I got to tell you that Tuesday was Tuesday, and we got back here Tuesday on the 11th. It was a magnificent day. Just gorgeous weather for such a thing to come down. Wednesday was gorgeous, and I was out of here and up the harbor at 6:30 in the morning on Wednesday. The dust was up to your knees.
Wow.
I made it up to past the state troopers at 14th Street, got the newspapers, called the bank, gave them my mail at the post office at 17th Street. There were no planes, which was in New York without planes. Another gorgeous day. Got back here, which nobody was getting back here. There were cops, there were National Guards, there were troopers, you name it. I got back here Wednesday. By 9:30 in the morning, I'm back here Wednesday. And Wednesday night was the same. And Thursday we had to leave. When we got out of here Thursday, this was a life-altering experience. Okay? Yeah. But the main thing that I told them in the survey was, I could tell on Wednesday morning, within 24 hours, that for those of us who had lived here within the physical realm of this event, I was watching them read the papers the next day. I was watching them watch television as I passed different places with TV. They weren't getting it the way we did here. And for me, all the years that I've been doing meditation and all the years I've always come from a place of reading everything and loving everything worth loving, this was just another example of how they don't get it. So I don't have the expectation as a rule of great numbers getting it. And so what you do with that is you go to compassion, because compassion sees you through what they don't have. You say there, but for the grace of whatever you want to call it goes I. And you gravitate towards, we put it, you keep the company of the wise. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have to follow the rule that he travels most swift, who travels alone, and if that's a lot of where it goes, fine. And then when you find better people, such as the three of us tonight, that's the joy in all of this.
Well,
I went downstairs
at
7:30 tonight and sat there facing the harbor, and the sun is going down, and it's absolutely perfect in May in New York City tonight. And that's it. And that's tonight. And then you guys send me your message, let's do this. Perfect night. And that's reality.
That's amazing.
That's reality.
I just want to...
And the next day, the main thing is the innocence. The clarity ultimately arises from the innocence. If you remain open in heart and mind, anything can happen. It's the field of all possibilities. But
I believe that. I do believe that.
Totally.
No preconceived notions, no projecting emotions or preconceived ideas on yourself or on anyone
Just
else.
follow through consciousness as it happens without,
Exactly.
Right.
trying
Right.
to reconfigure the
The
moment. Just
phrase,
experience
the
it.
phrase that we use for it, okay, and I'm going to tell you an amazing story. Jimmy Ryan, there was a group called the Critters. The Critters did a remake of A Younger Girl by the Spoonful. So he was obviously very close with Sebastian and the guys. And Jimmy went on. Their big song, other than their version of that, was called Mr. Dyingly Sad. And it's just beyond belief. The Critters were one of these groups, as with so many of these groups, they had, in their case, a couple. You cannot call them one hit, even though one of them was the remake of the Love and Spoonful. The other was theirs. Jimmy was brilliant. I wound up hanging out with Jimmy. He had produced Diana Ross. He made a fortune doing commercial jingles and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, and he does, if you listen to You're So Vain, where do you hear this, right? I'm at the center with him, TM Center, and I go, you know that You're So Vain, boy, that guitar, down, 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 down. Go where it down, where it down, where it down, where it down, So, you know, that's amazing, Jimmy, right? You guys, I'm glad you never. You want to know why? That's him.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm telling him, boy, that's really something on You're So Vain. He goes, Douglas, that's me. This is life. I have no idea that I'm into this Jimmy Ryan. That's his lead on You're So Vain. And the one for which he won the Academy Award, the Coming Around Again, or no, Let the River Run, that's Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
He's even in the
Wow.
video with him. When you see her on the Staten Island Ferry, the guy playing guitar behind Carly Simon, for which they won the Academy Award as Best Song, that's Jimmy Ryan. So it's full of just endless miracles. In Flower Drum Song, it's 100 million miracles. Boom, 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 happening every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, what else, if any?
I have, I do have a question which is quite random in comparison to everything we've been discussing.
As I
But
said at the outset, you guys, please feel free. Go.
I'm very curious to know what you know about or think about fairies.
About fairies?
Yeah.
Fairies?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. It's very paradoxical because you had this whole thing that happened over in England where they took these like phony photographs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they tried to convince everybody. It was
Yeah.
ludicrously transparent. Okay.
Right. Clearly. Yeah.
Most unfortunate because, and I will tell you an insane story. We go up to Salem, Neil and I,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been meditating quite a while. And we pull into what turns out to be a place where they're all resting up there. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in people going. I won't use the word. I believe people pass away.
Okay.
The good people pass away, and the rest of them will meet their fate.
Yeah.
I believe that there is ultimately the judgment takes place. If you ever want to see a great movie about this, check out the Albert Brooks Defending Your Life with him and Meryl Streep. Forget this as to what happened. It's his birthday, and he's not paying attention, and he's playing the CD player and gets wiped out, and I won't tell you anymore.
Okay.
I'll spoil that much for you. But he winds up going through the whole thing at Judgment City, take it from there. And even Shirley MacLaine is beyond belief in this, really. She takes the 64, 65 World's Fair, and you got the Pavilion of Past Lives, even with her fabulous stuff, okay? The point is this. I believe that there are embodied spirits because when Neil and I sat there and started meditating, we were told in a chorus, leave. And I am not fooling. They
I
did
believe
not
it.
want anybody disturbing the rest up there. And we took off. We found a place to go meditate by the water or whatever. But there are spirits. I cannot say that any one channel where somebody tried to phony it up gets my backing. But I certainly can understand that there's something going on. I mean, I remember one night I was in the park and I got a shiver down my spine. I knew that somebody was in our house. Where we were living at the time, I was stupid enough to leave the gates open on the deck. Somebody broke in. They took the little color TV from Bloomingdale's. They took some Kennedy halves, which fractured me because I met Kennedy. And some
Oh.
other
Kennedy
stuff.
House? Wow.
Yeah, but I knew that there was someone in the house. I was at
Yeah.
the Sheep. Where was I? Great Lawn. No, Sheep Meadow. I was, not the Great Lawn.
Mhm.
And I felt it down my spine. I knew that there was somebody in the house. So there are times when you know.
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you a great one, you guys. Christmas morning, 3:00 in the morning. I wake up. I hear the news that James Brown is gone. Okay, James
Mhm.
Brown, my brothers knew. They brought him
really?
to Clark and took him to dinner. And Chuck Berry, they brought him to Clark and took him to dinner. This is family to us, all this stuff. I called up Neil. He was staying out in Jersey at the time because he was looking after his mother at the time. Called him up at 3:00 in the morning. He said, I just woke up a minute ago. How did you know I was up? I said, I knew. I woke up and immediately called him out there. He was up
Mhm.
to tell him,
Wow.
James Brown, Godfather,
Yeah.
the soul, hardest working man in show business, is gone on Christmas morning. How did I know that he was up? There
Yeah.
are just times.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of psychic moments, and you seem to be tapped into a lot of them, and they seem
Yeah.
to happen to you quite a lot.
This is precognition. Now, I'm left-handed, and they say we make up like somewhere between 7 and 10%. There seems to be a certain enhanced inclination towards this. And the fact that I've been meditating was going to be, 47 years certainly helps.
Mhm.
Wow.
Refines the intuition. But this
Oh,
is
most definitely.
normal. Normal is the ability to just pick up on all these things and enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's
Right?
about. Yeah. So that guy that was filming you that day, did you say the MTV introduced him to you, or was he from MTV, or like?
No, here's the amazing point. He's just some kid sitting there in a dumb T-shirt and a dumb pair of like not very attractive shorts. Big, tall, thin guy sitting there. I swear, you guys, I had no idea that this was happening at all. Okay, he very slyly had the phone up. I didn't know.
Right.
And I get a call ages later from a guy. They wanted to use it on MTV. I said, and you know who this is? It's some guy named McElhenney. I said, I mean, it really doesn't matter very much anymore, but yeah, some guy named McElhenney, some big, tall, thin guy, some Irish guy, I guess, McElhenney. That's all I know.
Hmm.
Excuse me, that I ever knew.
Wow. That's very interesting. So you were very close to him, so it didn't bother you that there was somebody like sitting there watching the whole thing when you're right there in front of him, like that. You were just kind of immersed in the moment and didn't care about that, or?
I was conscious of the fact that somebody was there,
Right.
but I certainly was not going to let that be an inhibitive element.
Right.
He didn't get in the way.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anybody put that amount of.
I told Jesse Saturday night, Tess. I got on the Metro North. I was going to have an interview with this guy who had some ideas for Flower Power that I wound up not being thrilled, but I went. You should have seen the place where he was. Oof. Your marketing, whatever with him. I get off the train. I'm at the station getting ready to pick up the limo to go over to the guy's building. Kid walks up to me and goes, you in the video. Right?
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah, so people recognize you. Yeah.
Crazy. I get on the subway, and within two different people, within 5 minutes on the local, like CNV local, I'm going to 14.
But
You're in the
I
video.
need you to realize that you so eloquently told him off in such a way where me and Jeremy remember it completely. Like I can
Well,
tell
yeah.
you every line. Like it was so specific. It was so targeted. Like
I mean, look, I'm glad that it serves as such a source of fun above all, and certainly along with that as a source of inspiration. That the value system of being creative, of respecting the creative process, of respecting the audience, if that lives through, then that's the biggest accomplishment going on 6 years with this whole thing of 3 minutes and change.
Thank you so much. Really
Yes.
appreciate your
Anytime at
time.
so
all.
much.
Listen, the pleasure is mutual. Guys are a couple of terrific young people. Definitely keep in touch with you as the rest of what we're doing over here.
Yeah,
on Full.
Jeremy.
Thank you.
I'll give Jeremy your information so that you guys could
Yeah,
contact.
please do that. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
today.
Sure.
All right, you guys have a really great morning.
Thank you so much. It's been a delight to talk
Thank
to you.
you. It's been a delight.
And all the very best. Namaste, guys.